All right, so welcome back. It's the Hatening again. Well, actually, it's not the Hatening today. It's the Guestening because I have a friend with me. So today I'm joined by my friend Ashley, co-host of the Smut and Spice podcast. And today we're going to talk about guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasures, we all have them.
Right? We all do have them. And so do you want to explain a little bit of like what your podcast is about to sort of understand why it makes sense that we're doing this topic together?
Yeah, so back in 2020 at like kind of the like when COVID first started, I got really into reading again, and I somehow fell into this rabbit hole of reading like not like trashy romance books, but like more erotic romance and like reverse harems, and there's all these really great indie authors out there. And my friend and I were like, we're gonna start a podcast on this because nobody is giving these authors the recognition that they deserve. So we just kind of ran with it and read some articles about starting a podcast and bought equipment. And yeah, this is a thing that we do now every week.
It's so sick. It's a very good show. I do listen. I didn't know that was a fucking thing. Like the reverse harem, like erotic fiction stuff. Like I had no idea. I mean, it makes sense because there's a market for fucking everything on the internet, right? But like, it's so tight that you like stumbled into this thing, and now like, do you like you legitimately like it though, right? It's not like you're not like coming from a place where you're kind of like making fun of it. You know what I mean? Like this actually is something that you have found that you do enjoy, right?
Oh yeah, like we're not making fun of it at all. We really respect these authors, and I think that that's the biggest thing is people just kind of assume like, oh, it's just you read it for the sex scenes, when really there's a lot of plot-driven stories out there that take a lot of thought. There's world building and, you know, different character dynamics, and, you know, just like with all writing, there's tropes. So yeah, we really enjoy it, and there's actually a huge community. I don't know if people are aware, but romance is like the #1 selling book genre that there is. So, I mean, that's,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. But like hearing it, like that makes fucking sense, right?
Yeah. There's a huge market for it. So, I mean, I feel like our friends, even though they're little indie authors, they do pretty well. A lot of them write for their full-time jobs. So
that's
good
so
for
sick.
them.
That is so cool. I think of the episodes I've listened to, my favorite are like the fantasy ones. Like where there's like all the weird magic and shit. Like it's it's so tight. Like it really is so fucking cool. But yeah, so like I don't know, like would you consider that to be like a guilty pleasure? Like liking that style of literature?
I definitely think so. I mean, you know, as a child of like the 90s and 2000s, I grew up reading things like Harry Potter and The Lord of the Rings and the Aragon series. So finding like fantasy romance was just fitting for me, I guess, in a way. It was just kind of a seamless transition to start reading that because like the magical aspect of it is so cool. I mean, with fantasy romance,
fucking rocks. It's so cool.
Yes, like you can just make up whatever you want. So
no, it's really fucking cool, and it's cool that you're doing like a show about it. And you know, aside from like just like building awareness is something that you fuck with is tight, you know, but also just like the fact that like you're younger and this is like kind of like a weirder, not a weird, you know what I mean? Like it's an uncommon interest and you're very much owning it. Like you're owning your guilty pleasure, you know, which is fucking cool. Like, and that's why I wanted to have you on to talk about this kind of stuff. Cause like, so I don't even know like what mine would be. I think it would closely be, I collect like, you know, like the Christmas houses, like when you build like a little Christmas village. Yeah, I collect the Halloween ones of that. So,
oh,
like,
that's so cool.
So like all the like the, you know, haunted houses and like spooky little town building stuff, which is sick because now I can actually put them up, but I've been collecting them for a really long fucking time. And I guess that's a guilty pleasure because it's kind of like, you know, like when you tell people that you're into this kind of like uncommon stuff and you're not embarrassed, but it's a little bit, you know what I mean? Like you kind of keep it under wraps and like, in a hushed tone, you're like, oh yeah, I'm really into reverse harem erotica, you know, or yeah, I'm really into like collecting these like little figurines or these little whatever. You know?
I definitely don't think I would mention someone the first time that I met them that I just recently read like a lizard alien menage romance. So
why not though? But like But it's an interesting thing to kind of like think about, because like so many people would be super into that, you know what I mean? And so like when we have these like weird little things that we like, these little quirks that we have, you know, and it's like if you tell people that you're into, you know, whatever your thing is, like, yeah, most of the time people be like, that's whatever, or that's weird. But then like you find that one other person or like a small group of people who are like really into it, and now you just have like a new set of best friends and stuff.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I think that my grandma like would really appreciate your Halloween village setup, because she
Hell yeah.
has like a very extensive Christmas version.
Dude, it rocks.
It does.
It does rock.
It's not a common collectible, I feel like.
It's not. It really isn't. And like, there's a place that like I used to visit every year, like on the way to see my family. And even like, as an adult, when I go up there, I like carve out the extra like 45 minutes each way to go to this like huge Christmas store, because they have this little tiny room that's all Halloween stuff, you know? It's sick. It's so tight. It's so much money, but whatever. But like, so the idea of having like a guilty pleasure, like, do you think that is like nature or nurture, you know, to kind of put it simply? Like, do you think that like, you know, because we like what we like, you know, and so like you obviously you gravitate towards things, and we are conditioned to think that like these things are acceptable, these things are weird or whatever. But like, since everyone has guilty pleasures, and I do think that everyone does, like, do you think that this is just like part of the natural human condition to just like, you like weird stuff? Or do you think that like we have been like, as a society, like sort of like been told like, this stuff's cool, this stuff's kind of weird, and if you like weird stuff, I don't know if you should really talk about that, you know what I mean?
So I definitely think it's part of the human like condition to like things that are kind of out there and weird. But I also think that there's that nurture aspect where you're taught that, you know, these things are shameful and you shouldn't openly advertise that you're interested in them, whether that be like, you know, that you knit dog hair sweaters, or that you collect Halloween villages or read weird books. And I think that, you know, things are better for like people who have weird hobbies and interests than maybe it was years ago. I
That's
think
probably just because like the internet, right? And the fact that you can actually find your community, and you're not just like the only person in your town that likes whatever,
yes.
You know?
And I think that that's played like the biggest role, you know, for so many people that have these kind of out there hobbies and guilty pleasures, is the internet makes it so easy to connect with other people that share those same interests.
It definitely has made it a lot easier. And like, we're of the age, so like, we kind of watched like anime become a fucking thing in the States, you know? And like, I remember back in the day, like, if you liked anime, it was fucking weird, right? Like, you were like labeled weird if you liked it. Or like, if you liked professional wrestling and stuff, like I did an episode before on wrestling, and like, I think that could, you know, be a guilty pleasure as well, because it was like this very niche thing that you like were really fucking into, and you were kind of not ostracized, but like it wasn't like a huge common thing, and so you were kind of like alone. And then when you found other people who maybe you wouldn't hang out with for any other reason, you're like, oh shit, you play Dungeons and Dragons too? I guess we're fucking best friends now, you know? But with the internet, like, you can just join a fucking chat room or a website or like any fucking Facebook group, and now you have tens, hundreds, or thousands of like compatriots, you know? So it's interesting, I think, in that regard.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking back on like the whole anime thing, I definitely remember being in high school and like, you know, maybe like, not that I was a mean girl or anything like that, but like,
cannot imagine you'd be fucking mean to anybody ever.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I was, but just like maybe having preconceived notions about like the people who were like wearing like the Naruto like headband thing, and like thinking weird thoughts about the girls that wore like the furry tails, like the like furry like raccoon tails. Did you ever experience that?
Yeah. I think that it's okay to think weird stuff about the girls who wore tails, but that's oh yeah, like kids who like anime ran through the hallway, and like cat girls who like hiss at people and shit. Like yeah, I know all of them, and they were cool, like they were fine, but you know, but it was like, it was fucking weird. But then also it's like, they're just like into, like looking back on it now, it's like whatever, those kids are just into some other shit. But,
yeah,
you know.
and now as like someone who's into some other shit, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have judged them. Like, yeah. I don't know, that lizard romance had me feeling some things, so.
God, so do you get off on it? Like, do you get off on like reading these like that might be a crude to ask. But you know what I mean?
You've
Like,
listened to our podcast, we're pretty crude. So.
Okay, so but like, are you reading this to like get off, or are you reading it because it's fun? You know what I mean? Like, I never understood like the like reading erotica stuff. Like, I've tried it, like not to like to have sexy time with my brain, but you know what I mean? But it's like,
yeah.
I've read it to see what the fuck's up, and like it doesn't do anything for me. So like, does it get you going, or are you just like, this is fun?
I'm not trying to make this, about your gender or whatever, but I definitely think it's more common for, at least I'll say females. I feel like that's a better term than to say like women. But I think that our imaginations, as far as like reading erotica, I think it just does more for us than it does for guys. But I know a lot of women that really get off on reading this type of material, and it gives you new ideas and exposes you to things that, you probably didn't know that you were into.
Like shape-shifting lizard people fucking unicorns and stuff.
Yes, like, like people that have wings and like do all these different sort of positions because of that, or like, oh, this person has a tail, so you have to consider that like when you're trying to fuck.
It's just so fucking funny. But I'm not trying to poke fun at it, because like I said, like I listen to the show. You guys do a wonderful job of like covering the material tastefully and respectfully, but like it's just so out there and so funny that like I wonder that when I'm listening to you guys, like I haven't read any of the material, but it's like just thinking about like people like jerking off to these scenes is just so funny to me, because it's just so out there and like outlandish, right? Like it's just so funny. But I'm like not trying to kink shame anybody. Like, if you're into this shit, fucking go crazy, man. But you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And that's like, we're always very open about that on our show, that any of our commentary, it's never meant to kink shame anybody, because like, everybody has like some weird shit that they're into. Like,
as long as everybody's on board, like who the fuck cares,
Yeah, and as long as consent's given by everyone who's participating, like, go and do your own thing, man.
Have you ever like gone up to your partner and you're like, yo, you have to dress up like a centaur? I'm really into that right now. I've been reading this book and I really need you to pretend that you have 4 arms.
I mean, I've never done that, but I do fill him in on like if I'm reading something particularly weird, or like I come across a book cover that I feel like needs to be shared. And actually, my next book that I'm going to be reading is I Married a Lizard Man.
So sick. So sick.
Yeah, my partner is very excited for me to recap that one for him, because
awesome.
Like the cover is pretty amazing.
So like with having a partner, that actually like kind of is something else, like not specifically for your situation. I like how your situation, but like like when you have these hobbies and you have these things that you like, these guilty pleasures, these things that aren't necessarily conventional. It is very interesting how that dynamic is played out with your partner or like your friends and stuff, right? So like when I was younger, like I was really into like obscure music, like really into screamo stuff, like from Europe or whatever, like before it was like really big over here. And so like it was a big part of my identity. But then like when I would get friends and partners and stuff, like I would kind of like force them to participate, not force, but you know what I mean? Like we would participate in it. And it was always like this very fun interplay with like, here's this weird shit. I don't think you're going to like it. Let me show you. And then my more respectful friends would be like, it's not my thing, but I don't care if we listen to it in the car. I think that in and of itself is an interesting part of having these unconventional interests, like seeing how people in your life interact with them and then like not view you, but you know what I mean? Then like interact with you once they know you like that stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that part of, being in a healthy relationship is that, you somewhat have to take an interest in the hobbies that your significant other has. And it may not necessarily be your thing, but I think that you owe it to your partner to at least like give it a try. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to like go to a brony convention, but like if that's what they're into.
I would go. I would go in a heartbeat.
I would go as well. Like, and I think that too, like, I guess I always thought that people who were furries were really weird until I started like reading, especially some of these like more like paranormal, like shifter type romances. But like, I don't know, people might be onto something.
Now you're just yiffing all over the fucking place.
Yeah, just like nuzzling your significant other. You never know.
This is where we circle back to the girls with tails. But even like, even the furry shit is a great example, because like that was like deep corners of the internet for a long time, and now it's like everyone knows what the fuck a furry is, you know? And it's fucking cool that like you don't have to be like ashamed or like, you know, feel guilty to be like, yeah, I like to dress up like a fucking cat and hang out and pretend I'm a cat for a while, you know? I mean, it's fucking tight.
I think that so much of this, you know, for people like guilty pleasures is just kind of escaping from the reality and like the mundane everyday life that most of us live.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I work as a vet tech, so I see a lot of sad situations that animals are put in, and like the suicide rate in my field is super high. So I kind of need. Yeah, veterinary medicine has the highest suicide rate of any profession.
Holy shit, I legitimately did not fucking know that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
bad.
Jesus.
There's like a this movement going on that's like not one more vet, just because like most of us know some, you know, at least most of us know a few people who have lost their lives to suicide. So you kind of need something to like escape from that.
Yeah. Jesus.
Not to like kill the mood.
No, you definitely didn't. Send me a link to something. I'll put it in the show notes if that's fucking nuts. I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. But like, you know, how much of guilty pleasures do you think is just pure escapism? You know what I mean? Like, do you think that like we're so overstimulated or like bored or just kind of like looking for something new, and then when you find something that's like super outlandish, like it's like intriguing, you know, because I find myself doing that with like a lot of shit that stumbles into my life for whatever reason, you know, like if it's like a band or like a style of art or whatever the fuck, or like food type of shit too, where like if I have it for the first time, it's like, yo, I've been alive for 30 fucking years, I've never heard of this shit, this is fucking wild, and then I like hyper focus on it for a while. Like I think that might have a little bit to do with like the not like the perverse attraction, but you know, like the Orientalism involved with like some of the more like the more non-conventional interests that people have, you know?
Yeah, and I think that, you know, in some ways, maybe you get like kind of that, you know, dopamine or endorphin rush from like, you know, something new, something exciting that you've never had or read or seen before. And I guess you're just kind of like seeking to replicate that over and over and over when it comes to guilty pleasures. And I think that there's some of us who had personalities who are a little more predisposed to like searching for that.
Yeah, or just craving that dopamine hit, whatever the cost.
Yes, and I very much feel like that's what these books and what reading are for me.
No, I mean, like, that makes sense. I mean, obviously, because it's something that you like, so it's something that gives you, you know, joy or pleasure. Not the joke is there, I know, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and it's fucking cool that like you found something that like you found something that like you really like, and then also it like, I think it makes it kind of cooler and more interesting that it is something that is kind of weird, right? Like if you were just like, yeah, I'm into romance novels, like that's what I originally thought it was when you started the fucking show. I thought it was just like normal ass like shit my grandma used to read. I wish my grandma
Nora
was reading
Roberts
this.
And shit.
Oh, she has boxes and boxes of that shit at the house.
Danielle
I wish it was like
Steele.
her too. She was around my whole life. But I wish that she was reading, you know, stories about like anthropomorphized waves, like fucking people. Like that would be so fucking cool. But you know, I think that the weirder it gets, like the more people latch on to their shit too, you know, because it becomes like part of the identity, you know.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Like, I'm kind of at the point now where anything that I thought was taboo before, I mean, other than like some things like incest, like I don't go that deep with it, but you know, like tentacles and stuff like that I thought that was kind of where I was drawing my line, but I'm past that now, so you're just kind of always You're just kind of always looking for that next thing, I guess.
And that's fucking tight. Like, that really is cool that you're just like, tentacles, that's baby shit. That's freshman year. Come on now. We're in the master class now. And that's fucking cool. It really is cool. And I find it so sick when people embrace the weird shit that they're into, like, in general. And I wish that more people were, like, super fucking upfront with their guilty pleasures and with, like, the unconventional interests. But at the same time, I think that it is becoming more, that stuff is becoming more visible with the internet. And everyone's like, yo, we're all fucking freaks. The world's ending. I don't give a shit if you know that I'm really into fucking K-pop, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, there's some really good K-pop out there, so.
Dude, I started watching the fucking countdown videos when I go to my friend's house. Oh, one of my other guilty pleasures is fucking reality TV. But again, like, I don't even think that like counts because, like, everyone fucks with it, I think. But, like, I legit have once a week, I go to my friend's house and we just watch 90 Day Fiancé. And, like, we watch reality TV. I fucking love it so much.
90 Day Fiancé is such a good show.
Dude, I fucking got Discovery Plus commercial free so I can watch my fucking stories in peace.
Speaking of that, my aunt would have been, like, a perfect episode of that show, because, like, that was, like, a legit thing that happened to her that my family, like, went through. Yes.
Dude, what? Yo, fuck the time limit. What the fuck? All right, you can't just, like, leave me just hanging on that.
So super producer Andrew's gonna have to, like, edit all this shit.
All right, I will mark the time.
So
that's a sick story that no one will ever fucking hear except for me, you, and Andrew. So. Jesus Christ. But no, like, you know, even, like, with that fucking show or, like, those type of shows, like, I feel like if this was 10, 20 fucking years ago and you were like, yo, I'm really into reality shows in general. I'm really into shows where it's just a bunch of alcoholics in a house screaming at each other for 90 minutes. You know, like, I love Bad Girls Club or whatever the fuck, right?
Oh, Bad Girls Club is so good.
It's all streaming now. Well, most of it's streaming now. But, like, you know, like Teen Mom 2 and shit. Like, I remember when Teen Mom 2 came out and I fucking fell in love, and, like, my mom and, like, some of my friends were like, it's weird that you're into this shit. And I'm like, dude, it's so good. It's such good television, you know?
Well, and I think that also brought to light the whole, like, teen pregnancy crisis that was happening in America at the time.
It really did a lot for preventing a lot of people from getting pregnant.
Yeah, I didn't get pregnant after I watched that show because I was like, I don't want this to be my life.
Yeah, dude, I was really into that shit. And then my mom would be like, I hope with you watching this, like, you see that it's bad for you to whatever. And I'm like, Mom, you buy me condoms. You know I'm not, what? Like, chill out. I'm not getting anybody pregnant. I just want to watch these people.
Buy me condoms, Mom, so I can lose my virginity in this closet.
Thank you. Exactly.
Speaking of that, I told that story to someone, like, one of my friends a few weeks ago.
Fuck yeah.
about the excitement just boiling over before the act even happened.
That's a very literary way to say I nutted in a condom.
Yeah.
The excitement boiled over. Fuck yeah, dude. But yeah, like, just sort of, like, to wrap up things, but, like, it's just crazy to me how, like, everybody has this shit that they like. Everybody likes weird stuff. And I'm glad that people are more open about it now. We can have podcasts about it. We can have TV shows and we can have YouTube series about it. But I still find it weird that, like, we still think it's weird. You know, does that make sense? Like, you know, like, it's weird that we still judge each other for liking unconventional stuff. And we feel the need to, like, hide it. You know, like, you don't tell people when you first meet them that you're into these books the same way that, you know, people don't say whatever. And I find that fucking weird. Like, I get it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that that's something, like, in my personal and professional life, I'm just trying to put it out there a little bit more, I guess. Even if there are repercussions, like, I don't think my job can fire me because of what I do in my spare time, but, like, I'm less embarrassed of it now than I was when I first started reading these types of books. And I think it's just because people have been so accepting, like, more than I thought that they were going to be. Like, you know, I'm a fucking guest on a podcast right now. Yeah. So it's definitely helped me to judge other people for the things that they like and enjoy a lot less.
That's good. And I think that that is good, like, on a personal level, but then, like, to sort of get that out there, like, you know, mind your fucking business. Like, you know what I mean? But also it's like, everybody has weird shit that they like. Do you think that, like, being in a situation or a community, whatever you want to call it, that is like accepting of your quirky interest? Do you think that that's like helped you like grow as a person? You know, aside from just being like, I don't judge people as much, but like, do you feel better about like your shit personally? Being like, I don't have to hide the fact that I like this weird stuff anymore, you know? Because I feel like that's something that people should be trying to do, is like be more comfortable with themselves, you know?
Yeah, and I feel way more comfortable with myself, and it's just really nice to like, I've just made some really good friendships with people, and it's nice to be able to talk to someone about something that I like, they're not going to judge me for this kind of stuff. And you know, they'll probably have other really good book recommendations too, so that's always a plus.
It's a big ass community, right? Like, isn't like every time I listen to your show, and you're talking about like what y'all are doing like next or whatever the fuck, and like these authors and all this stuff, and it's like it legitimately is like a fucking color I've never seen before, where it's like, damn, there's a lot of these motherfuckers out here, and y'all are doing this for a fucking living. Like, that's so sick. Like, I did not know that it was that big. But it's funny how these fucking huge communities can exist and no one would fucking know unless you like had an in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's absolutely, oh shit, my cat jumped up here, sorry.
It's not like I can fucking see it anyways.
He's cute. Sorry about that. Shit, what were we saying?
Fuck.
Wait. Yeah, there's no way we would have known.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't know that this community existed unless you were actively searching for it. And that's kind of what happened. Like, I read my first reverse harem book, and it was like, I don't know, there's a point where he like fucks her with this knife, and it was real wild. And that's kind of what I use now to like indoctrinate people into this
just a little
genre.
Knife fucking. Just a little knife fucking to really...
Like, if you can handle some knife play, you can handle pretty much anything I'm going to throw at you after that.
Honestly, I mean, it's like, it's a good barometer. It's a good way to test the fucking water. You know, that makes sense. I've definitely done that with like music stuff where like, you know, people are like, oh, you listen to, or you like this specific, you like this stuff, that's cool. And there definitely are bands like screamo bands and hardcore bands or punk bands where it's like, all right, if you can handle this, and I think we can kind of test the waters out, and I can navigate as to what I think you'll actually like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, now I'm going to show you some of like the deeper, like weirder shit.
Do it. Please read me some weird shit.
I totally forgot about this part, and I didn't have anything prepared.
God damn it. That's fine.
I can send you some of my favorite excerpts, though.
Oh my god, please do, because it's and I'm not trying to like be a bully or like fuck with anybody, but like it really is like interesting, and it's funny to me that like this exists and people, you know what I mean? Like it's just crazy and it's fun. It's like I think it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's really enjoyable, and it's like the people are all super nice and accepting, so yeah, it's just, I love it, and I don't see myself, you know, kind of deviating away from this genre for a long time, so. That's
really cool. It really is cool, you know, that you found something that you really like. Like, in general, I like it, you know, when people have fucking hobbies and they have interests and shit like that. Like, everybody needs them, you know? Not everybody needs to do a fucking podcast about them, but, you know, but like, everybody needs to have stuff they're fucking into, and I'm fucking super stoked that you found something that's cool and weird, you know? But like, I hope that more people can be comfortable enough to be like, yeah, I like this weird shit. Or like, or explore that part of them to like, maybe they thought they might be interested, but they've always felt weird about engaging with it, you know?
I think that that's the biggest thing. If there's something out there that interests you, I mean, we live in the fucking, like we already said, the age of the internet. Like, if you want to learn more about something, that information is literally right at your fingertips. So don't let other people thinking that it's weird stop you from like exploring interests.
Exactly. And I think that that's one of the saddest parts about like liking weird stuff, air quotes around weird, obviously, is like, when you fucking wait a really long time, or you like, or people prevent you from exploring that option or that interest, and you're like, fuck, man, like I've been trying to do this for 10 fucking years and I'm really into it, and I wasted 10 years like being afraid of what my fucking friends would think if they knew I was like really into My Little Pony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's sad. Like, it is sad to me when people are like can't be themselves or explore their shit because they're worried about like their roommates calling them a name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, humans are only alive for like a little blip of time, so you might as well make the most of it.
Yeah, so read all the weird fucking erotica that you want is the moral of the story. Life is too short to not watch, like, not watch. God, I wish I could watch it, but watch in your mind's eye, like mermaids going to town with each other, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of books like that.
Oh, I'm sure. What's the most common trope?
The most common trope would probably be enemies to lovers. I think that's probably the most common one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. We like a little bit of like bully, like
that's fun.
That's the general consensus, I feel like.
No, that's fun though. Do you think that the last question about your specific shit, and then we'll wrap. Do you think with the stuff that you guys do on the show and the stuff that you guys are reading, do you enjoy it more or do you think other people, I guess, or the community at large, do they enjoy it more for like the literary aspect or for the erotic aspect? Or do you think it's kind of like, how much of column A, column B do you think that is? Because like, you know, not to be like, you're like, ooga booga, I'm a man, but like, whenever I am engaged with like something that is erotic, my first thought is like, oh, okay, like we are here to nut. Like we are here to come. This is what this is for. You know what I mean? But then so with the stuff that you guys are into and like the stuff that you're reading, it's like, okay, like am I supposed to be turned on right now? Am I supposed to like, is like this turn of phrase why I'm here? Like is the literary aspect what is keeping me here, or is it the fact that like maybe I'm going to get excited enough to have to like go excuse myself, you know?
So I think that for most of us, I mean, it's a 50-50 mix. Like the plot for a lot of these stories is really, really good, and a lot of time and effort goes into writing it. I mean, I don't think that you could stretch something out for 4 books if it wasn't well written. You know what I mean?
Blew my mind that there's fucking whole series. I mean, it makes sense, but it's like, damn, dude, this is fucking work. You know? Well,
yeah, and especially like it's really gratifying too when it's like a slow burn series where you know that these characters are gonna hook up together, but you're like waiting and it's building and there's all this sexual tension. I mean, like, we all know what that's like from like your first time with someone. You're like, oh shit, is this actually gonna happen right now?
Yeah, the first time you fuck a dragon, you're like, oh man, is this happening right now?
Yeah, just running my hands down these scales.
I'm sure you have read that sentence more than once.
I have, actually.
That's awesome. Like, that's so tight. Like, it's so cool. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. So yeah, we should probably end it there. Pluggables. Plug your stuff. Where can people find you and how can they interact with you? Yeah.
So we can be found on all of the major social media outlets, Instagram and TikTok at Smut and Spice Pod. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play at the Smut and Spice Podcast. Yeah, we put out an episode weekly, and we would love it if you would give us a listen if you're interested in that type of thing, or if you just, you know, want to hear more about lizard people.
I think that you're going to get a lot of lizard people fans coming over. I hope so.
I hope so too.
Fuck yeah. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I know you have a lot of shit going on. I'm so fucking stoked about your show. I'm so proud of your show. We kind of were talking about podcast stuff when you guys were starting, so I'm glad that everything worked out, you know. Fuck yeah. So, you know, do you listen to the show enough to know what my sign off is?
Yeah, it's wait, hold on. It's tell your friends you love them, or it's something and tell your friends you love them.
Yeah, take care of yourself and the people around you and tell your friends you love them. You got it.
Yes.
Thank you, dude.